what do you think are going to be the keys to being successful in this race?
I think that as much as there's plenty of room to race at this track, you could get 3-4 wide down the straightaways. Hopefully not 4 wide at times, but it's still very tough to pass through here because we were just talking before the broadcast. Drafting is part of this with these slower trucks around this big track. It can be a little daunting as far as how to get through the field. I think track position's always key. But we talked about the strategy too, 2-stop race, but you get a weird caution in there, you might try something different. I'm looking forward to it.
I think being able to manage track position with aggression, and the whole time thinking about the draft and making sure you're staying in line, working together, whichever driver can do all those things the best, they're going to come away with the win. We are getting ready to go racing now. The pace truck is in. Jared Darling is leading the field off turn 3. Coming to the green flag. We are underway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Turn 2, a couple of trucks sideways, and that is going to bring out the first caution of the night. Terrell Baker among those involved. Correction, that was turn number 1 where the issue started. A 5-truck crash on the, what straightaway is that? Long Pond straightaway is going to bring out your first caution of the night. Dylan Poteet involved as well. A rough start to tonight's race, showing how treacherous Pocono can be.
Yeah, we'll have to see the replay, but yeah, it's very easy to not understand if you're 2, 3, 4 wide off of that corner, especially at a start on the restart like that. I assume there's somebody clipped somebody or somebody cut someone off without. Who knows? We'll see what we got here. But yeah, tough.
Started on
tough
the
way to
outside
start.
lane. Yeah, started on the outside lane with the 98 of Robin Durr. It's been a tough season for him so far. He has the 10 of Hunter Brittle behind him, and you'll see the 98 just gets a little bit sideways. Those cold tires not quite gripping up. He gets turned in front of Eric Kepf. Dylan Poteet actually goes around separately. And it's just kind of one of those situations where, you're early on in the race. Everyone's still bunched up and running close together, so one truck around can lead to a chain reaction. Unfortunate for those drivers involved. Daytona winner Terrell Baker, who was already starting towards the tail end of the field, got involved as well. You saw him in that all-white truck. Not really sure what's going on there, but that is going to bring out your first caution of the night. Let's ride on board with Hunter Brittle. Yeah, you see Durr gets sideways and just nowhere to go for the 10 truck.
Yeah, it's really easy, when you're packed up like that. We talked about you want to get positions right away. You want to move up through the field as quickly as possible. This is the time to do it. But sometimes if you forget that you're on cold tires and your truck might get a little loose, and that's what it looks like happened there.
Looks like what spun the 31 around on the bottom was just a checkup. He got ran over by Austin Moore from behind. So really just a chain reaction there down in turn 1. Apologies for saying turn 2. Part of me wants to call this track 5 turns, but part of me knows that it's 3. So we'll figure that out as the race goes on. I'll try my best to keep it to 3. We'll take another look at the wreck right there. You see the 31 gets tagged from behind. Baker also nowhere to go. Kind of varying degrees of damage throughout the pack. A lot of these trucks look like they got out pretty much unscathed. Terrell Baker, though, took a hard hit there. Robin Durr looks like he might have lost that back bumper. So unfortunate for a couple of drivers. I was actually looking at Terrell Baker as maybe being a threat for tonight's race. It's a little bit easy to overstate these differences or these similarities, but there's something to be said for similarities between Daytona, Talladega, and a track like Pocono. Drafting is important at all of them. You need to kind of keep your head on a swivel with these 3 and 4 wide situations. So there's some similarities there, and I was looking for Terrell Baker to maybe be a contender in tonight's race. But after that early crash, that is going to put him behind. Well, Ross, we have a bit of a moment here. Why don't we go ahead and talk about the points as we head closer and closer to the playoffs. So it's the top 10 drivers that make it. But what I want to talk about is this battle for the regular season championship. Hunter Madalinas has it right now, your Watkins Glen winner earlier this season, but he only has it by 2 points over the 11 truck of Christopher Heller, both of which are in tonight's race, and neither of which have gotten off to a great start. They're running 12th and 13th at the moment. So it's been a close season between them. What's your take on this points battle for the top spot?
Yeah, both are pretty much every year in that conversation as far as leading the points or being consistent enough. Madalinas is maybe more of a raw speed kind of guy where he's going to we saw it at the road course. He's going to win races. Not saying that Christopher Heller can't, but he's just so consistent. So two very maybe different approaches to get to where they're at, and only to be 2 points apart for the regular season championship right now is super entertaining, super cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that aggression at Watkins Glen out of Hunter Madalinas as he charged down Ashton Lawson for that win. But speaking of victories, it's kind of interesting to look at the standings, how spread out some of your winners are. So Madalinas, your points leader, does have a win, but the next highest driver in points with a win is Terrell Baker, all the way down in 7th. Behind him, Christian Peterson, your only 2-time winner on the season, is 11th in points with 2 wins. So a lot of these drivers have made their way up in the standings as we get 1 lap to go under pacing. A lot of these drivers have made their way up in the standing just by being consistent, Madalina and Heller among them. I mean, really, just to point out that consistency, Madalinas, your points leader, has 5 top 10s in 6 races, but perhaps more impressively, 4 top 5s in 6 races. So a majority of the time, that 7 truck is running up inside the top 5, and it seems like that is what has made him successful so far. All right, so we are coming back to green this time by, and Jared Darling has elected the outside line.
Yeah, no, Jared kind of on the other side. He's been in every race this year, but 28th in points, really been tough. He's a guy that can go up there and contend for a win. So it's awesome to see him up there. And yeah, he's maybe just trying to play spoiler with some of these guys that have been up there every week trying to get these wins.
Well, it definitely speaks to the bad luck that Jared has had so far this season, because he's put together some really good runs. I mean, we saw at Kansas earlier this year, he was actually contending for that win until he ran into some misfortune later on in the race. So Jared Darling, I mean, he's definitely someone that's fast, but has maybe struggled to put together complete races, and that can really be an important skill, especially as we've seen a lot of these races become sort of chaotic. Obviously, we're not off to a too much of a different start today, as we've already had our first caution. But we'll see how this restart goes, hopefully a little bit cleaner than the last one. Your top 3 are Jared Darling, Ashton Lawson, Zach Henry, and Christian Peterson. Your pace truck rounding turn 3 now. Darling in first is going to lead us back to the green. He's chosen the outside line. He'll have a push from Zach Henry. Let's try this again. Pace truck is in this time. Bye. Here they come into the restart zone. Darling is on the gas. We're back underway at Pocono. Already a couple of drivers fanning out towards the back. You see Hunter Brittle dive to the inside in that black and yellow truck. Single file up front, double file as you get a little bit further back. 3 wide around the middle with Spencer Owens and Christopher Heller. Off turn 2 and down the Long Pond straightaway. Big pack of trucks. They're fanned out there, but nobody wrecking. Everyone keeping it clean, and the top guys getting back single file. In turn number 2 now, you see Christian Peterson on the inside of Matt Durr. He's going to try and take that spot, but Durr fights back on the outside.
And you want to get to single file, or at least 2 wide to the tunnel turn, and then you get back to turn 3 here. You can potentially gain some ground, I think, on this long straightaway. Madalinas to the inside there, already making some moves to try to get up there. Running 8th.
Mr. Madalena side drafting the 53 of Jared Duda, trying to get as close to his door as he can. A nearly touch going down into turn number 1. Madalena's to the bottom. He is going to take that spot away.
Oh man, Aiden got a little loose. So did Madalena's, kind of coming up in front of the 53. I'm going to get some bump drafts down the straightaway.
Well, another reason it's important to stay in line is that if you get out of line, you can really get caught out by how much draft there is kind of running in the pack. Behind these guys, Tony Manji just made a move on Aiden DuPont for 9th. They made a little bit of contact through the tunnel turn, so that nearly ended poorly, but they all kept it going. Tony Manji down the inside, going to move his way up into the 9th spot. A lot of drivers up front here have not had particularly great seasons so far. I mean, I think about Aiden DuPont just got the wall, so maybe I just jinxed him, but DuPont has not had a great start to the season whatsoever. I'm checking the standings right now. He's all the way back in 22nd, so a good run for him could be very important to his potential playoff chances. 3 wide behind. Chris Heller on the inside of Owens. And I believe that's Barbagelata? No.
Jackson
One truck
Sims,
sideways out of turn 1.
Yeah, I'm not
Michael
sure who.
Senzi, he got sideways.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's even feel like you get a little more heat in the tires. It shouldn't be doing that, but I don't think he got any help. And it's so easy here, like when you get to racing somebody, and then you kind of have to both enter these corners here at the flat triangle so much slower that then all of a sudden the people behind you are right on your bumper, and it's like it just seems like you can't get a break unless you can get away like the top 3 or 4 are doing right now. It's really easy to lose momentum and then just get frustrated.
It's a very difficult track to get right, and there's so much space in between the corners that it just feels like if you make one mistake, it takes forever to recover. You see a lot of the field getting single file here now. We're looking at a battle between Hunter. Trouble off turn number 1. Brett Kingcutt gets turned into the inside wall. Caution is out. He got tagged by the 10 of Hunter Brittle. And your second caution of the night is for the 5 truck getting spun out of turn number 1. Seems like that might be the trouble spot. It's the fastest corner on track, and it's proven to be an issue. 2 cautions coming out of it so far in just 8 laps. Let's take a look at a replay.
Yeah, you definitely want to get back to the gas out of 1. To make sure that you're not side by side in the tunnel turn. Oh, that 10 truck
Actually, he did not have help.
Yeah, didn't get help, but he was trying to get involved in another caution. Hopefully, luckily he didn't. We can't blame it on him. I'll just say that.
Yeah, Hunter Brittle. I mean, he might have taken a little air off the spoiler of the 5, but it really seems like, King had cut the apron a little bit in turn 1, and then I think he was just too eager to get back on the gas. He overstepped that right rear, and around he went into the inside wall. But I mean, like you alluded to earlier, Pocono is just such a difficult track to get right, and if you make any mistake, I mean, you feel like you just have to pedal it so hard to make up that time, but as we saw right there, it is easy to overstep the balance. So, unfortunate for Brett Kingcutt, who brings out your second caution of the night. Take another look at it here. You can see him just tag the apron slightly, which is, I believe, what started to unsettle his truck.
There's a couple spots on this track where you can kind of almost use the apron to turn, but turn 1 is definitely not the place you want to do it too much. It can upset your truck and make it real easy to have exactly what happened to the 5.
And it's a slick track out there. We have 80-degree ambient temperature and 102-degree track temp, so it's a hot and slick racetrack out there. It's definitely not easy. I think that's why we saw really more separation than I anticipated earlier on in the run. I really thought the draft was going to keep these guys closer together, but it seems like people are starting to spread out pretty early. So, hot track, tricky conditions, and we're seeing it get the better of some drivers. So now we'll see if anyone elects to come down pit road, and Jared Darling is not going to come down, neither does Zach Henry, but Ashton Lawson from 3rd decides pit. Looks like he might be alone in that decision. Lewis Woodall in as well, but the majority of drivers staying out. Ross, what do you make of the strategy? I believe we may have lost Ross.
Caution comes up.
Oh,
you got me now?
You're back. Welcome.
I was talking to one of the crew chiefs down on the pit road. Sorry. But yeah, they. I think that this strategy is. Sometimes you just got to do something different. But I don't know if this is the race winning move, unless maybe you get another caution in 5 to 10 laps, and the other guys that stayed out then pit and you stay out. So. Yeah, I think it's not necessarily a strategy play. It's just something that I think some of these guys, especially in the back, why not?
Yeah, we're not quite in the window of being able to cut a stop off of the race just yet, but definitely an interesting strategy. We'll see how it plays out. And for a guy like Lawson, who's decently high in the points, I believe. I thought he was, but he's actually down in 14th. So maybe for a guy that's a little bit lower in the standings, you can go ahead and try and take a bit of a gamble. But I definitely prefer the call to stay out. I think you want that track position with so many cautions coming out. I think fuel might be a little bit less of a concern. So while we're under caution, why don't we go ahead and talk about points, playoffs a little bit more, because we are getting closer to that cutoff race. So, to clarify, it's the top 10 drivers that make it, but there is no win in your in system. So, you just need to be top 10 in points. And right now, if we're looking around that bubble, Zach Henry is in 9th. Spencer Owens holds the last spot in 10th. Then Christian Peterson is 1 spot out in 11th. And Nathan Jump, your defending champion, is 2 spots out in 12th. Jump is not here tonight, but Christian Peterson is, and he is having quite a good run all the way up in the 5th position. And considering he's only 1 point behind Spencer Owens, this could be a critical race for Christian Peterson. And I especially point him out because he's such a fast driver, but he hasn't showed up to a lot of these races. So the reason that this could be important is because if Peterson does make the playoffs, he'll be a championship threat. But if he doesn't make it because he hasn't showed up to a lot of the races, then we might be in trouble for him. Of course, playoffs might be a little bit of a concern as we get closer. We still have 4 races left, including tonight, so that's 60 laps left in tonight's race. Jared Darling continuing to lead. He's led, I believe, every single lap so far, looking for his first win on the season. In fact, if you give me a second, I can go ahead and pull up the stats for the whole league and clarify if that would be his first win ever. Give a little some fun facts while we wait out these pace laps.
Got me over here again?
Yep, you're back. Welcome.
There we go. Having some technical difficulties, but that's what cautions are for. So
yeah, better now than later.
I'm back. Excited for this restart here.
Jared Darling, a 4-time winner in this series before, so he knows how to get to victory lane. We've seen that out of his pace this season so far. He just hasn't really had the luck to be a regular contender towards the front of the field. Looking at the standings, Darling is all the way down in 28th with 77 points. Your current number to be in the playoffs is 129, so not an insurmountable gap, but definitely would help Jared Darling to put a little more pressure on the accelerator, so to speak. Pace truck rounding turn 3 now. We are getting ready to go back racing here at Pocono. We'll hopefully get a little bit of a longer run in this time. Pace truck is in, field in the hands of Jared Darling. He's into the restart zone, on the gas. We're back racing at Pocono. Top 20 staying double file. One truck jumps out of line. I believe that's the 11th, Chris Heller. He's going to go up the inside of Spencer Owens and Elliot Henderson into turn 1. 3 wide out of the corner. They're all going to keep it straight. Whoa! Big crash in the back. Bretton Kingcut hard into the outside wall. 2 more trucks slam the inside. And that is going to bring out your 3rd caution of the night for a violent crash in turn 1.
Yeah, just
Pocono is not playing nice at all.
Yeah, just involved in that last caution for Brent. So you get back there, maybe trying to... Who knows what happens here? We'll see what the replay looks like. But yeah, definitely the end of the night for the 5 truck.
A hellacious crash for Brent Kingcut. It started off the nose of Michael Senzi, and he just got ramped into the wall. Take another look at it here. Watch the 5 on the bottom of your screen. He's going to push up out of the corner just a little bit into that 92. He gets hooked into the 64 and hard into the outside wall. Nicholas Caressel involved with nowhere to go either. 96 truck, Michael Levine hits the inside wall as well. But a hard hit for Brent Kingcut. He is going to be the biggest casualty of the night.
You get so used to, focusing on the battle that's around you. You just want to beat the guy that's right next to you, and sometimes you misjudge it. And we had some action maybe through these guys.
Yeah, there was a secondary incident between Jim Duda and Rod Fasnaugh. Fasnaugh kind of came up on the 16 while the 16 was coming down a little bit. Tough break for him as well. Fasnaugh has not had a good season whatsoever so far, and that bad luck is continuing tonight. Taking a look at an onboard from Blair Niabani. Yeah, you see Brent Kingcut just got turned right into his nose.
Yeah, that's a tough way to just be exiting the corner and have a truck in your lap like that.
Yeah, for sure. Been quite a messy race so far. Pocono It kind of has a tendency to produce races like this on iRacing, and honestly, I can't explain it. It's a wide track, there's a lot of space, so you'd think it'd be pretty clean, but something about the nature of these turns, I mean, the speed, it just seems like it's sort of a recipe for disaster more often than not, but it's certainly made for a very entertaining race so far as we go on board with, I believe that was the 92 of Michael Senzi. So the caution is out again. We'll see if anyone elects to come down pit road, but I'm not seeing anybody. Getting another replay here. Another tough hit into the inside wall. Definitely thinning out the field a good amount, though.
Yeah, and some of those guys that pitted on that last caution, I guess if you have another, if you have this run of cautions, at some point these leaders would say, well, we're getting to the window that they have to go pit, and I don't know if you could then maybe take two, or because you're not using your tires up much right now, but yeah, I think it's going to take a couple more cautions really for anything strategy wise. If your guys in the back, maybe you want to pit. But this track is unique because it's so big. You're not going to be able to say go top off right now and run long to gain track position very easily, because the leaders are not going to lose a lap when they go to pit. A lot of them are going to be able to stay on the lead lap, especially if they all pit kind of at the same time. So it doesn't really give to your advantage at all if you come in and try to pit early under caution and run long, where it almost plays like a road course. You almost want to do it the other way. You want to stay out, get up front, and then if we do go green, and if we're able to get a green run, then you want to be able to pit from that lead pack, because then you have the best opportunity if a caution comes out to gain all that track position back.
Yeah, for sure. Pocono is definitely unique in the sense that you don't lose a lap by pitting if you're close to the front of the field. Regardless, the pit window for the first stop, assuming you want to make the race on 2 stops, doesn't really open until lap 20 about, so it's still a little bit early to come onto pit road, but maybe if we get a couple laps green and then another caution, then it could be a good call. We'll just have to wait and see. I think these drivers probably know a little bit more about their strategies than we do. Why don't we do a little through the field here under caution, starting with your race leader, Jared Darling. Darling's had a pretty unfortunate season, to be completely honest. He's ran up front quite a bit, but just has not been able to have the luck to close out these races with good finishes. He sits 22nd in the points, but all in all has been a decent season for Darling.
Yeah, and you got Zach Henry in second, another guy that typically is up here running up front. Started up in the top 5. 40 career top 5, so another one of those guys that's very consistent and also can win at almost any track.
Yeah, Zach Henry definitely had a decent season so far. He's sitting 9th in the points. A quiet season, to be honest, but decent nonetheless. Matt Durr is your 3rd place runner. He's had only 8 career top 5s in the Great Lakes Truck Series, but 33 top 10s. So far this season, Matt Durr is sitting 17th in the points with no top 5s or top 10s to his name. So a solid run tonight could greatly help him if he's looking at making a playoff run.
And Matthew Weeks, I think I saw this week our current rookie of the year, new to the league this year, and if I'm not mistaken, and running up in the top 5 and top 3 in points. So a new face that still looking for a win, but a contender already in this so far in this season.
Yeah, Matthew Weeks has had a great season so far. He's contended for a couple of wins, hasn't been able to close it out yet, but he's running 4th, so tonight could be the night. And then number 5, Christian Peterson. He rounds out your top 5. It's been a good season, but an off and on season for Peterson so far. He is currently sitting 11th in the points, due to a lack of starts, but has already racked up 2 wins in 4 races. So Christian Peterson having a very strong season tonight. Season in general. Look for him to be a championship contender as we get closer to the playoffs. Pace truck is in, this time by Jared Darling. He's led every lap so far, is going to lead us back to green. He's into the restart zone now, and on the gas, we are back underway at the Tricky Triangle. Most of the field staying double file. That's Terrell Baker jumping out of line in the back. I think he's trying to just get out of the way. Down into turn number 1, we're looking at Tony Manji side by side with Shane Neiswanger. But everybody playing kind throughout the field. No 3 wide yet, and I think we're going to make it down the back.
I thought that restart, they kind of almost gave each other a little bit more space, and sometimes that leads to some stack ups, but maybe they're trying to work together to get a clean run going here.
Yeah, I mean, I think these drivers are tired of riding around under caution. You know, they want to get going. They want to get racing. We're looking off the back of Jared Darling right now. Zach Henry in second, trying to run him down. The good thing about Henry's position, though, is that he can kind of just sit in the draft of Darling and maybe save a little bit of fuel down these long straightaways. First battle for position is for fifth as Hunter Madalinas works his way around the outside of Matt Durr. Durr tried to get back in line, but it's Christian Peterson who's going to jump to the bottom with help from Tony Manji. Durr goes down to side draft, nearly gets into the side of Peterson. Got to be careful with that. Peterson, though, not able to get the spot just yet. Now he'll drive to the bottom and take it away. Peterson moves up into P6.
And if you're Manji there, you almost have to slide back in just to kind of restart your momentum after you push the 71 down the front stretch. Side-by-side battle back here.
Jake Fisher on the outside of Paul Witt. Witt working down the inside of him, gets clipped in the right rear, but he's going to make it out alive. Now he's side-by-side with Eric Kepf as they barrel towards turn number 3. Behind them, Hunter Brittle goes for the move on Gavin Fitzgerald. This battle right here between Witt and Kepf is for the 13th spot. Witt on the inside. Can't get the pass done, and that's going to hurt him down the straightaways because watch how that outside line with more draft just pushes right past him.
Yeah, the 29 and 63 almost got into each other off of 4. It was close.
Kepf got a little bit loose.
Push that 63 into 1, and that gets him the position of the 29. Now the 84 Fisher trying to get around Witt on the outside. Looks like he's going to do that, and now try to maybe pass Kepf too.
Jake Fisher going down the inside of Eric Kepf into the tunnel turn. So that's a 2-for-1 special there for Jake Fisher. He's going to move up into 13th, and that is going to let Witt take another swing at Eric Kepf, but he's going to back out of that as Kepf holds spot on the outside. Jake Fisher making his first start of the season. Pretty fast driver. I've seen him around before. Right now running up in 13th, so a solid debut on the season so far. Looking backwards just a little bit, Hunter Brittle and Gavin Fitzgerald are side by side for the 16th spot. Fitzgerald on the outside, going to take that spot away.
And
see it pretty clearly here, just a big string of trucks down to turn number 1. Everyone kind of staying in line, looking to use the draft and maybe save a little bit of fuel, but it definitely gives us some nice views of these trucks just flying past the cameras.
Looks like Lewis Woodall maybe. There's so many drivers there that shot, you can see him get so close to the wall, and I think Lewis Woodall was the only one that maybe brushed it off a little bit, just cleaning it for us. I think that was his plan.
Jared Darling starting to break away from the field. He's got a 0.4 of a second lead now. I've just taken a look at their lines. Zach Henry is entering the corners a little bit more conservatively, so you got to wonder if maybe he's trying to save tires for later on. Darling doesn't seem to be too concerned with that at all as he drives away out front. That number 1 truck looks good in clean air, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's making me think about Casey's Pizza too, so that's win-win, I guess.
Jake Fisher's got another one. He goes down the inside of Aiden DuPont for 12th. DuPont maybe looking to make a crossover. No, he's going to stay in line and push Fisher down the back. They're side by side behind as well. Paul Witt actually falling backwards on the inside as that draft on the outside just freight training the 29 truck down into turn number 2, the tunnel turn there. Witt trying to fight back on Fitzgerald just a little bit. He's going to lose momentum. I think that outside line is going to prevail.
Yeah, we talked about that. The previous lap we had, Kepf and the 29 at Witt, they were kind of battling there, and I talked about it earlier in the race. When you get to battling, sometimes it kills all your speed. So Kepf maybe is going to try a green flag pit stop here. Yeah,
so as soon as the pit window opened, Eric Kepf made a dive for the pit lane. An interesting strategy call out of the number 63 camp, but we'll have to see how it pays off. Gotta wonder if he's going for some sort of undercut. We'll see if anyone responds to that. Out of turn number 1, Jared Darling has extended his lead just a little bit. It's 0.42 at the moment. Everybody else just sitting in line. Jake Fisher is one driver I think we should keep an eye out on because he's been slowly moving his way through the field, currently still sitting in 12th. At the moment, everyone seems content to just kind of ride in line and let things play out for themselves. Battle off turn number 2. Spencer Owens has Paul Witt and Ashton Lawson in his sights. He thought about making a 3-wide move, but ended up backing out of it. That battle is for 17th as Ashton Lawson is going to clear up on the 29. No, not quite. Paul Witt able to fight back down the front straightaway. Ashton Lawson, one of those drivers who's had a pretty up and down season. He came away with a win at the Nashville Super Speedway earlier in the year, but at the moment sits down 14th in points, so a little bit of work to do if he wants to make those playoffs, because as we alluded to earlier in the show, there is no win in the Great Lakes Truck Series. Tight squeeze off turn number 1, but it's Paul Witt who's going to prevail down that long pond straightaway. Trouble out of turn number 1. Couple of trucks sideways, headed for the inside wall. They save it. So a great save by James Shiflett and Matthew Rodriguez. Those were the two trucks that got sideways. Looks like they both did it on their own accord. Both unforced errors. We stay green.
They both were racing pretty hard. Earlier we saw some shots of them there, and nice to stay green. See how this...
Struck the wall out of turn number 3. I think that was the 13 of Lewis Woodall, who caught the outside wall coming out of the corner. He slowed down the front straightaway, so he'll give up that 23rd spot to Chris Heller. But man, Chris Heller all the way down in 23rd. A bit of a struggle race for him so far. Heller, of course, fighting for the points lead, but as of now, it's not looking too good for that 11 truck.
Yeah, I'm not sure where some of these guys... I know that Lawson, we were just talking about him the last lap and just his season. He did pit on one of those earlier cautions. I'm not sure where Heller's at as far as his pit strategy, but I think that some of these guys maybe that did pit, it's showing that tires aren't really a huge opportunity here because, well, first of all, I think a lot of these leaders haven't used them up because we've been under caution for so long now finally doing so, but it's not really going to gain you much when that's the case.
Yeah, for sure. I think tires... Oh, whoa! Trouble front straightaway? Question mark? I'm not sure what I just saw. No, okay. He was going into the pit, so that's the 29 of Paul Witt, who was in a pretty tight battle with Ashton Lawson. He's going to bring it down pit road. So we're starting to see more drivers bring it to the attention of their crews, maybe looking for a bit of an early pit stop. We mentioned that this race... this track races sort of like a road course. I'm inclined to disagree because I actually like racing on road courses. Sorry, Pocono. But, so there's something to be said maybe for an undercut, something we might see at a road course more so than an oval. Looking right now at Zach Henry in second, but I want to draw our attention to that battle for 7th as Tony Manji is trying to work his way down the inside of Matt Durr. That slows both of them up and brings Jackson Sims into the picture. Into turn number 3, we'll see if Sims can do anything. Now looking at Jared Duda on the outside of Hunter Madalinas. Bit of a squeeze off turn number 3, but Duda sticks it out and gets around that number 7 truck. Behind them, Jackson Sims working down the inside of Tony Manji as Christian Peterson looks down the inside of Hunter Madalinas. So there are battles all over this track, including towards the front of the field. Two former winners this season going at it.
Madalinas had that run kind of down the front stretch, but the 71 is a teammate to the 24 Manji, so he didn't want to help Madalinas get by him. He thought, okay, I'll let him go, and it's my turn to try to get by him. Looked going into the tunnel turn, but teamwork. Yeah, looked going into the tunnel turn, but decided against it. Probably a good idea.
It's been brought to my attention by our producer that Jake Fisher is actually one of the drivers that pitted earlier on in this race, but he did not take tires, so he is running on more fuel than everyone else, but the same amount of tires. You'd think that would hurt his pace a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be affecting him much as he has moved his way towards the front. Hunter Madalinas in a tight battle there with Jared Duda, just cut in front of Christian Peterson, who is now looking down the inside for 5th. Two of the strongest drivers this season, but also two of the most aggressive drivers this season in lockstep with each other as they go into turn number 1. Madalinas, look at that. He's using that outside line. You'd expect at Pocono that the outside driver would kind of run as close as he can to the door of the driver on the inside, but Madalinas is showing that there might be a couple of options here.
It's all about keeping up that momentum, and I think that turn 1... even turn 3, sometimes if you don't have to turn the wheel as much, you can keep the momentum up down the straightaways. Peterson to the inside now. Man, Madalina's trying to pull out of line too.
And Peterson just shipped it into turn number 3. What a move by Christian Peterson. I did not think that was going to stick, but he made it work beautifully. Christian Peterson gets 2 for 1 into turn 3 and moves his way up into 4th. That all happened, of course, because Madalinas actually gave a shot to the 53 going into the tunnel turn. So there might be a little bit of a rivalry brewing between the 7 and the 53 truck. Dak up into turn number 1. Durr nearly got ran over from behind, and Manji just cut off Jackson Sims. So these drivers are starting to get a little bit more aggressive as the tires wear. Duda slow off turn number 1. Madalena's back down the inside. They're dooring each other down the Long Pond straightaway and into turn number 2.
Madalena's did that outside lane again in turn 1, got the momentum. Man, he's going to come up right in front of Duda. That's close. You can see it's stacked up everybody behind. Manji slides to the inside now.
These drivers are at each other's throats, and it is only lap 27. We are not even halfway. Duda just took a very aggressive line through turn 3, cut off the 24 of Tony Manji. So dare I say that tempers are starting to creep up just a little bit as Gavin Fitzgerald hits pit road. So another driver comes in, but nobody inside the top 10 is elected to come down pit road just yet.
It's interesting to see, like, Kep and Witt, they were able to pit pretty early after that restart, and because the pack was all together, they were able to stay on the lead lap. So that is a huge key as far as pitting. You want to be able to stay on the lead lap in case a caution comes out. You can just catch right back up.
Battle for 9th is heating up. Jackson Sims poked a nose to the outside of Tony Manji, but fell back, and that moved Jake Fisher right up to his back bumper. Fisher going to stick that left headlight out. He's on that yellow paint now, hooking the inside. Pass on the way. Here comes Jake Fisher, actually shooting the gap between Jackson Sims and a couple of trucks that were coming down pit road. Manji hits pit road, so does Jared Duda, and a third truck that fell off the screen before we could get to it. But Fisher still working on the inside of Jackson Sims. He's going to go into turn 1 on the bottom. Sims, though, using the momentum on the outside to hold strong. Sims keeps that spot. Fisher falls back, and now Neiswanger's got a pass on the way on the outside to move Shane Neiswanger up into 7th. Fisher down a spot into 8th.
And that pit stop there, it was Manji, Duda, and Peterson, all teammates. So they're all on the same page as far as when to pit. Interesting to see. They were the only team to pit on that lap, but it's very interesting to see all 3 of them pull in at the same time.
That actually makes a lot of sense to me, because at a drafting track like Pocono, you really need to have friends with you as you come into pit road. We're seeing this again. Here comes Matt Durr, the 6 of Jackson Sims, and the 49 of Shane Neiswanger all down pit road. So if they can stay nice and packed up, that'll actually give them an advantage, because the closer you can stay together, the more draft you'll have, and the less time you'll lose racing on your own. Battle for the race lead is heating up as well. Zach Henry has cut Darling's advantage down to just 1/10 of a second, so he is all over the back bumper of that number 1 truck with Matthew Weeks in tow. We actually saw Darling and Weeks go at it for a battle for the win earlier this season at Kansas. Darling in that clean air can just drive it off so much deeper into the corner, but I think that him doing that has actually hurt his tires just a little bit. We're working lap 30 now, so we're well into the pit window. We'll see if any of these top 3 bring into pit road this time by.
And you talked about it, Jonathan. Henry was kind of utilizing a different lane to kind of almost save his tires. So you mentioned it. That, like, is it, if we do go green, does he have some extra tire to be able to get Darling on the long run? And it seems Weeks is kind of on that same strategy, and they're all together here. It's like Henry's going to try the inside.
Like he's got an advantage now. Yeah, Henry looking to the inside. Darling went a little bit wide in turn 1. Henry not able to keep momentum off the corner, though. Matthew Weeks and Zach Henry would consider working together to try and get up to the 1 of Jared Darling. Weeks has a run here, and he stays in line, so kind of tells me that he's not looking to make a pass just yet. Lapped truck in the way. We'll see if that hinders Jared Darling at all as we get into turn number 3. I believe that's the 64 of Blair Neabone.
First time he's had somebody in front of him to see what that truck does with a little bit of draft. 64
Henry pokes the nose to the outside, and he's going to take away the lead as Jared Darling and Matthew Weeks both hit pit road. Darling locked up just a little bit, nearly got into the front of Matthew Weeks, but they both kept it clean. So the 1 of the 56 truck are your first of the top 5 to pit. Henry, Fisher, and DuPont stay on track. So does Ashton Lawson.
And I think that, even though we had a couple cautions in there, they're definitely running longer than I think we kind of expected. Maybe not. Maybe just, being able to save under cautions, if it can get you this far. I don't think it's gonna get you to a window yet.
Caution!
I know.
Caution on the racetrack.
There
The
we go.
yellow flag is out. And I'm looking through the field to see who it was. Can't tell just yet. Give me a minute.
Madalinas and Henderson are on pit road. Evan Snyder maybe here?
I believe our producers got it. It's that bright green truck, the number 93 of, yes, I believe that is Snyder. See if I can get a look at what happened here. That bright green truck bringing out your, what are we, third caution of the night. It was another spin off turn number 1, and... well, I'm not going to say anything.
I was gonna say a little front end damage and maybe some right side damage. It looked like
got a little loose, and then there it went. Depending on all I'm gonna say is I think we should take a look at an onboard before I make any further comments about this wreck. That caution is gonna leave Zach Henry and Jake Fisher in the lead. They will, of course, have to come to pit road immediately. So I actually think that's gonna hurt them more than anything.
Yeah, that's very true. That's this caution. We talked about it. It's kind of like a road course in the fact that if you're on pit road and the caution comes out, it's better.
And got another look at it there. 93 truck goes around. Quite a violent spin for just getting loose.
Spin cycle.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the rare instances where it actually helps to beat the caution to pit road, because now Henry and Fisher, who are out on track, are going to have to come in and basically end up at the tail end of the field because everyone's going to get a chance to bunch up. So I'll go ahead and take a look at who that hands the lead over to. I believe it'll hand it to the 71 of Christian Peterson.
Now, I know that we had talked about Lawson getting fuel, and I know Fisher had gotten fuel at 1.2. I still think you're close enough to the window. You got a pit here, and it looks like they're all gonna do so.
Yeah, what I'm really interested in seeing is if anybody decides to stay out if anyone decides to pit that had already pitted under green. So far, the answer to that is no. Looks like, well, James Shiflett came in. So we got a couple of takers, but for the most part, I think anyone that pitted under green is going to be able to make it the expected distance.
Looks like Lewis Woodall got maybe turned coming to pit road.
Yeah, 13 Pepsi truck is sideways. One of the only international drivers in the field. I have gotten reports that he is from England.
It talks.
What happened to that number 13 truck?
It's a talking point in this series. It's very important, and I know a lot of league races talk about entering pit road single file, and sometimes you get some stack ups, and we'll have to see. Maybe somebody got into them.
I'm getting a replay of it now. And I think we're all about to take a look at a replay, but it doesn't look like there was actually any contact. So now I'm a little more confused. Love to see his inputs because it looks like he just kind of rear lock up coming into the pits. What do you make of that, Ross?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did he miss his pit box? But it's still a little bit farther ahead there. So I don't know. Yeah, not sure what happened there with Lewis.
We all make mistakes. We've all done silly things like that. It happens. It happens. Rod Fasnaugh, by the way, has inherited the lead by staying out. I doubt that he's going to remain on the track. He's been on this stint for 20 laps, so he definitely doesn't have the fuel to go much further. But I don't know, maybe it's a strategy play. We'll have to see how that plays out as we go back green here. But in terms of your drivers that are on a normal strategy, Christian Peterson is your race leader over Jared Duda, Tony Manji, and Jackson Sims. Paul Witt, I believe, stayed out under that caution. He came into the pits quite a while ago, 10 laps compared to everyone else's 4. So Witt pitted under green, he undercutted under green, and now he actually gained a good amount of positions. I think who this really hurts is the one truck of Jared Darling, who had come in recently and didn't have time to utilize those fresh tires to drive back through the field. He is going to restart all the way down in 12th, and I stand corrected. Rod Fasnaugh is actually staying out on track with old tires and no fuel, so that's going to be an interesting situation in turn number 1. Good luck to the field. We are going to go back green this time by. Lights are out on the pace truck.
We talked about it during that last run there, the teammates with the synchronized pitting, and that definitely worked. They are 2, 3, 4 with Peterson, Duda, and Manji.
Gavin Fitzgerald also having a pretty solid run. He's up in the 9th position. It has not been a good season for the driver of the number 14. He currently sits 26th in points, only one top 10 to his name, but he's been having a pretty solid night so far, so look for Gavin Fitzgerald to try and keep it up there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here with that Ford truck on old tires. I think if anything, he's just hopeful that he can not get run over for another lap or two, and then maybe you pit.
I'm really not sure what the strategy play is here, if I'm being honest, but I guess he knows better than I do. He's in the truck. We're just up here on the booth. We'll wait and see.
Better to pit under green than caution, but not right after a caution. But we'll see.
Yeah, that'd probably be the absolute worst time to pit, but got a KFC truck. Maybe we should call him the Colonel.
Yeah, the KFC got sick of the Casey's Pizza truck up front.
Guess so. All right, pace truck is in. Lap 35 is when we're going to take the green flag back. Rod Fasnaugh is in the gas. We are back underway from Pocono. And Fasnaugh is going to move down to the inside. Not sure if he's trying to break the draft or just stay out of line, but that's going to set up a 3-wide situation in turn 1. Duda might try to shoot the gap. No, he lost his momentum, so Peterson on the outside is going to take the race lead. Fasnaugh stays out of the way, down the Long Pond straightaway. The rest of the field, mostly single file. A couple of 2 wide. Hunter Manalinas makes a harsh move to the bottom. 3 wide, maybe 4 into the tunnel turn. Fasnaugh backs out. Manalinas stays in it. What a move by Hunter Manalinas. 2-for-1 special. He's up in a 9th.
And got around Austin Moore, who was one of our drivers in that first caution. So he's, with the timing of this last caution, able to cycle up towards the top 10 here.
It's times like these when being aggressive like that 7 truck can be is really going to pay dividends. He ran a very aggressive higher line in turn 3. Now he's got to run down the front straightaway, shoving Shane Neiswanger past the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald. That is just outside the top 5. Manalinas backs off just a little bit. But watch this run. He's going to get off the corner. He's hooking that second seam, running the 3rd lane. It's a great line here by Manalinas. He's going to get a huge surge of momentum down the back. We're on board with him now. Neiswanger moves to the inside of, I believe that's Paul Witt. Yes, it is. Manalinas shoving the 49 down into turn number 2. Look at that, though. He gave the 49 a little bit of overspeed, then backed out so he could keep even with him. Manalinas really pushing guys around here, but it's working out quite nicely for him. Fitzgerald, oh, contact! Fitzgerald gets into the side of Matthew Weeks going into turn 3. That'll send the 56 up the track. I'm sure Matthew Weeks is not too happy. Jake Fisher sitting behind them, going to squeeze to the outside of Gavin Fitzgerald.
Darlene Weeks and Fisher here, they were all running up in that top 5 before this caution, so trying to get back up there, it's definitely different than the last run for them.
Jake Fisher experimenting with an even higher line. He's all the way up outside the rubber in the 4th groove, but it might just work. He's going to have a nice run down the back straightaway. A little bit of smoke on the Long Pond straightaway. I'm not sure what happened there. Fisher gets cut off by Jared Darling, so not able to make a pass there. So, oh, watch out. This group has caught a slow truck in turn 2. I believe that's Rod Fasnaugh getting lapped. Not sure how that happened. That's interesting. I guess he pit. All right, that's why you don't pull that strategy. But anyways, no harm, no foul. We're good.
And it looks like a little damage on the right rear, so I don't know. Cold tires, trying to get back up to speed with that strategy, and maybe got the wall.
I think what we're learning is Rod Fasnaugh maybe didn't make the smartest decision staying out under caution, but I applaud the audacity. Single file throughout the top, I want to say that's 20. First battle for position is between Lawson and Woodall for 19th. And look, Fisher again. He is hanging it out all the way up on the high side. I'm not sure if it's really working for him, but it's definitely impressive to watch. He's got a nice run down the back straightaway because of it.
Yeah, maybe some of these drivers
Fisher, I didn't take Fisher.
Some of these drivers are seeing what Manalinas has been doing with that outside lane in 1 and giving it a try. Yeah, I just think Fisher's is a little bit higher than Manalinas, that maybe it slows you down too much.
It's really taking full advantage of the new dynamic track system that we got on here a couple of seasons ago. Bit of a gaggle of trucks here into turn number 3 as Matthew Weeks tries to get around Paul Witt. but he's not going to be able to do it. That outside line stacks up behind him, and Weeks is going to get freight trained for about 3 spots.
And he was probably doing the best out of those guys that were leaders earlier, and then just like that, you lose a little bit of momentum, and that outside lane can just pass you with a bunch of trucks.
Fisher working the high side again. He's got a nice run on the back straightaway. Brittle got stuck behind the slow truck of Paul Witt and Jake Fisher. Don't make me say it. 2-for-1 special, maybe, as they go into the tunnel turn. Meanwhile, Hunter Madalinas looks to get around the 49 of Nicewanger. He's going to do that quite easily. And Jake Fisher is going to complete the 2-for-1 special by getting around Paul Witt. That battle does continue behind the 84, though, as Matthew Weeks is now working the outside of Hunter Brittle. Paul Witt's falling backwards on those older tires, but I think it's a net gain from where he was before that strategy started. So overall, a solid idea by Paul Witt, as Hunter Brittle gets back in line to cover off the draft on the high side. Jake, where are you going, buddy? That's the 5th lane. I think that might be a little bit too high. Props to him for trying, though. It gives him a great run down Long Pond.
Yeah, it's one of the... Yeah, it's not the long straightaway of the front stretch, but it is a longer straightaway if you get a little bit of momentum.
We turn our attention back to the front of the field. It feels like Chicagoland all over again. Christian Peterson leads, but he's got Jared Duda about 1/10 of a second behind him. The real question is, between these two drivers, who is saving their tires better? I'd imagine it is Peterson with the advantage of clean air, but Duda, I mean, there's something to be said for aggression and sacrificing a little bit of tires for track position. He's got the draft now. We'll see if he tries to put any moves on Christian Peterson. He's got a nice run down the front straightaway. He's in the draft. Down to turn number 1, Duda is closing that gap.
We've seen these teammates race each other a lot this season, even for wins. So it's interesting to see. Madalinas trying to get back up into that top 5 inside of Durr.
Matt Durr going to be Madalinas' next target as they go down the Long Pond straightaway and head towards the tunnel turn. Durr drives it in a little bit deeper than Madalinas into turn number 2. Madalinas got a little bit tight, nearly hit the outside wall, but good avoidance by him. No harm, no fouls. They go into turn number 3. On board with the 7 truck this time. They drive it in about even. Both get to that yellow line, so not really any real differences in their lines. Maybe Madalinas is backing off just a little bit, trying to cool his tires down before going on another charge.
That top 10 is kind of broken away maybe a little bit, or at least a single file. Madalinas is going to try the outside lane again.
He's going for that Jake Fisher line. We'll see what he can do. He's going to have a nice run here out of turn number 1. He's going to move to the inside of Matt Durr. Madalinas, your biggest mover since the restart. I don't have a stat on that, I'm just guessing. But here he comes down the inside of the 44 truck. He's going to pinch him between the outside wall and his own truck. Madalinas not able to get the pass down, but he makes good progress on the inside. I believe as they go into turn number 3, he'll be able to complete that pass. Look at how tight Madalinas, by the way, runs people on the straightaways. That's really a sign of his aggression, is just how close he's willing to get with his competitors.
And that's like one of the last kind of things that you learn on iRacing, but when you get it, it's so great to be able to know how close you can get to somebody. It can sometimes surprise people, but get as close as possible without touching them is something that is a heck of a talent when it comes to driving these trucks on iRacing.
That's definitely one of the differences between racing against a pretty fast driver and a really fast driver. Now, the issue is, of course, sometimes you get a not-so-fast driver that thinks they're a really fast driver, but I think Madalinas has the talent to back up his aggression. He's moved his way back up into the top 5 after restarting deeper in the field. Great run for him so far. Trouble behind, not quite. Jake Fisher looks like he got into the back of Shane Nicewanger and loosened up the 49 just a little bit. They were both able to keep going. But as the top 10 is single filed out, let's go ahead and take a look back in the field. There's a battle for 17th on right now as Chris Heller works his way down the inside of Paul Witt. So Witt's going to fall back to 17th on those older tires. Austin Moore behind them. Look, this is where a lot of the action is at the moment.
Yeah, and Heller, Witt, DuPont, they all were, on the edge of the top 10 or running even in the top 10 at times earlier in this race. They were kind of the opposite of those front runners as far as strategy. That caution just hurt them and gave up all their track position. Madalinas to the outside.
Got more movement at the front. Yeah, Hunter Madalinas used the outside to get around Jackson Sims. While he was doing that, Jake Fisher also used the outside to get around Shane Neiswanger. So both those drivers willing to move around and experiment with lines. See if Madalinas does anything here in turn number 3. Peaks a little high on entry. He's going to get back in line. Manji's quite loose, so I wonder if Madalinas is going to be able to get the jump on him down the front straightaway. He's got a nice exit there. He's in the draft. Look for Madalinas to maybe move to the inside. No, he's going to stay in line. I wonder if he wants that high side in turn 1. Go again, down into turn number 1. Madalinas enters high. Just as I expected, he's looking at the right rear quarter of Tony Manji. Couldn't quite get there, but he's got a nice run down the hill. Beautifully executed line there by Hunter Madalinas. He goes to the inside of Manji, looking to break his way into the podium.
He was hoping that Sims was a little closer to give him a little push, but through the tunnel turn here, it's gonna see that's that moment when two guys contact. Yeah, when two guys kind of slow each other up. Oh, and Madalinas into Sims now.
Yeah, Madalinas is racing aggressively. What he did wrong there is he actually missed the bottom of the tunnel turn, and as he got tight, that gave Sims enough momentum to get to his outside, so Madalinas actually going to lose a spot there, going for the move on Tony Manji. It was a good attempt, but unfortunately he just missed the bottom that little bit, and that hurt him. So we've got a truck in the wall out of turn number 3. It was all the way in the back. Might have been Matthew Rodriguez. Turn 1 again. Fisher has calmed down just a little bit. He's not quite running the wall. Sims had a little bit of a bobble through the center of the corner, so Madalinas gets the run on him again. He's not going to poke to the inside this time. He knows that he knows how he messed that up last time. Instead, he's going to stay in line, ride with him through the corner. He missed the bottom again, though, and that makes me wonder if maybe Madalinas used up his stuff trying to drive towards the front of the field.
On the bumper of the 6, entering the tunnel turn, that makes it even tougher to see your line and try to hit it too.
Also gives you a lot more dirty air.
Yeah, that's true. Looks like maybe we had one pull off for pit road. That pit road window is open now to be able to make it to the end. I just think that you're not going to, if you caught a caution, your tires are going to be so old by the end of the run that I don't think it's a race-winning move, but you might, if you're somebody in the back, to Hail Mary and hope that a caution falls right after you hit the pit road.
Jake Fisher's on the move again. He used the high side like he loves to do to get to the inside of Matt Durr. That momentum carries him all the way down to turn number 2, and he is going to take away that 6th position. We sort of have a battle of who wore it better here between Fisher and Madalinas, using that high line to make passes. Honestly, this racing looks like a lot of fun right now, so being able to use those different lines and get creative, that is what is making the difference in terms of being able to pass and being stuck behind. And unfortunately, speaking of being stuck behind, Jared Darling, your race leader from earlier, is all the way down in 12th and has not been able to make up any spots, really any significant spots since the restart. So unfortunate for him.
Yeah, something must have happened there because he wasn't that far off of even Weeks and these guys that are. And then now we got the 2 that were using that outside lane. Fisher and Madalinas both using it at the same time. They've been kind of trading off who's been using it.
I really like that. I really like that a lot of these drivers are willing to give up the ideal line to try out some different things. And to be honest, in my experience, I know that there's kind of a reputation on iRacing that if you deviate from the standard line, you wear your tires out more. But in my experience, if you can do it right, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. And I think that Madalinas and Fisher are kind of showing that right now. The advantage you get, of course, is while maybe you do wear your tires a little bit more, you have a lot more freedom. You get a lot, if anything, you get a lot better of an understanding of what your car can really do. You know, you really learn the dynamics of your vehicle as you move offline a little bit. So not only are you able to make more passes, but you kind of get a better fundamental understanding of what your truck can do. As I say that, Madalinas and Fisher both opt to take the bottom line, but it kind of just shows their versatility. So I really like this out of those two.
And if you follow everybody, you're going to follow everybody, right? So you got to try to do something different. Fisher
Battle for 8th is going on, by the way. Hunter Brittle just got around the 37 of Elliott Henderson. to move him up into 8th. But Henderson might get a bit of a run here. Oh no, Henderson hard into the wall out of turn number 2. Zach Henry going to take advantage and pounce to the inside. That'll move Henry up into 9th and Elliot Henderson down to 10th.
Need the time for Elliot's he's gonna come to pit road. A couple others
Good
following.
call by Elliot Henderson. Late call by, I believe that was who was that in the black truck that followed him down? Can't quite tell. Oh, it wasn't black truck. Sorry, it was the number 23 of Spencer Owens. Got a battle for 3rd. Hunter Madalinas has moved his way down the inside of Tony Manji, but I think he might have bombed it in there because he really missed the corner. Contact out of turn number 2. Sim's going to come back on the outside as well. Actually, Madalinas was trying to get 2 for 1 there, so he moved down the inside of both the 6 and the 24. That did not really work out for him at all, but it might here in turn 2 as Jackson Sims misses the corner. Madalinas going to move up into 4th and maybe open the door for Jake Fisher. Not quite.
I think these teammates up front, they kind of, mind their P's and Q's and kind of help each other out. Just so slightly into Manji's back bumper.
And all 3 of them are coming to pit road.
Yeah, a bunch of people.
4 of them, actually.
Everybody but Madalinas almost. Wow.
Yeah, so the top 4 all hit pit road. Madalinas and Henry stays out. What I would do if I'm Hunter Madalinas right now is run this lap as hard as you can and immediately come to pit road. Use this time in clean air to try and build a gap and then bring it down pit road so you don't lose too much time. Spinner on pit road. That was the 57 of Rodriguez. He has since pulled off. No caution. We'll see who wins this race off of pit road, though, because it will be important to keep track position.
Yeah, night got...
A
bad night got worse for Matt Rodriguez back there.
Everybody opting for 4 tires, and Jared Duda is going to win the race off pit road. So Duda jumps his teammate in the 71 truck, and he is now going to inherit effectively the race lead. Great execution by Jared Duda.
The biggest loser there was Manji. He got not with his teammates. Meanwhile, some of these guys that pitted a little earlier.
Spinner, turn 1 around. The outside wall goes Hunter Brittle. Caution is out again. Nicewanger slides. And that is going to bring out your 5th caution of the night. Hunter Brittle looks like he just dropped it on cold tires and can't quite get it back going. That is heartbreak for Hunter Madalinas. He is going to have to be at the mercy now of a bunched up field, and he is going to have to come to pit road on his own. Caution is out again, and once again, turn 1 on cold tires proves to be the issue. Hearing some chatter on the radio. Doesn't sound like anybody's too happy with that, but we'll take a look at a replay and see what happened. And yeah, Hunter Brittle just crossing that bottom seam out of turn number 1. Just dropped it. An avoidance by Nicewanger, by the way. Let's get an onboard of him if we can.
That other group, all these guys coming off of pit road, that other group kind of was almost getting away from the second group, and I think maybe Brittle seeing that, you got to get the momentum going. See Nicewanger's move here. You don't know where he's going.
Yeah, I mean, I think... What a save. Beautiful. But yeah, I gotta imagine Brittle just coming out of pit road was in a hurry to maybe try and make up some spots with everybody bunched up, and cold tires just gave out on him. So just taking a quick look at the drivers that already came down pit road, I do believe that Jared Duda is going to inherit the lead, but we actually had a couple of early takers that are going to jump the 53, including Elliot Henderson, Paul Witt, who's kind of been on an off strategy all night, Matt Durr, and Jared Darling. So Jared Darling, I think, timed the caution as perfectly as he could have, and when it came out was on pit road.
Yeah, we talked about that once that pit window opens, if you want to throw a Hail Mary, if you just lottery ticket, pit, and hope the caution comes out either as you're on pit road or just after you leave pit road, that can give you a bunch of track position, and it seems to have worked for a couple of these guys, or at least Darling for sure.
Hang on, I'm going to verify this, but yeah, I actually think this is going to hand the lead back to a driver we haven't seen at the front of the field since the start of the race. But Jared Darling might have played this perfectly. Unfortunately, I think... Let's see. I'm checking right now. I'm going to see when the lights came on the pace truck, see if he was already on pit road. Let's see. I wish we could show you this on the broadcast because it's going to be really close. The rest of the field comes down pit road now. We're going frame by frame. Caution comes out, and Jared Darling was on pit road. So how about that? He got unlucky earlier on, but now I believe Jared Darling is going to restart this race where he started, towards the front of the field. That could not have played out better for the one truck.
Yeah, the opposite of what's going to happen to Madalinas here. I guess for a show, if we're going to have to send anyone back through the field, it'll be interesting to see how Madalinas does trying to get back up there. Probably gonna unfortunately cost him a chance to win tonight, but you never know. Crazy things happen with restarts, and
he's only restarting in 16th. I mean, he could do it.
Yeah, you never know. I did say restarts. I'm not assuming that we're going to have a more than one, but there's always a very high likelihood of that.
I'd say we're going to have more than one. High draft, high speeds, a lot of grip at this track. Even though it's pretty hot out, I think we're going to start seeing some chaos here as we get to the end of this race. I believe we're looking now at this battle between Jared Darling and the caution flag. So you see him on the right side of your screen coming to pit road. He's in now. He's safe. And now we're just going to wait on Barney to throw the caution. So yeah, Darling beats the yellow flag to pit road and is going to restart in the top 5.
Yeah. Barney's.
Well, actually, I thought he was, but he just gave up a couple of spots. I wondered, is he... No, he doesn't have a black flag, but he is giving up spots. Does he have an EOL? Oh, he might have an EOL. He might have gotten the unsafe pit exit.
Oof.
Oh yeah, I think he did. Because he's giving up spots now on track. So I think he's got a black flag. I don't see it on I don't see it when I pull up the entries tab. I don't see a black flag next to his name, but I think that because it's an EOL, I think they're not showing it. So actually, I take that back. Jared Darling thought he was the biggest winner. He is, in fact, the biggest loser out of this whole situation, which is really unfortunate for him.
Now we got a couple drivers up here in front of that the group of teammates, the 29, 44, 37, all on the pitted just before that caution, or at least a few laps before. Durr, Witt, and Elliot Henderson.
Yeah, the highest running driver that pitted under that caution, I believe, is actually the 7 of Hunter Madalinas. He's going to restart in 15th. And Jared Darling, I thought he would have an EOL, but he's actually restarting in 13th, so he's not all the way at the back. Unfortunately, he doesn't gain any track position. Let's see. I've got a message from our producer. Let's see if I can. Oh, never mind. Jeff just said gasp. All right, thanks, Jeff. But so Darling, in a sense, kind of gets a reset. He gets another chance to try and carve his way through the field, but it's helpful. I'm sure that's better for him than the run going green, but definitely not as good as it could have been.
And don't look now. One of our past winners at Pocono in this series, I think the only one, Elliot Henderson, running third. Give him a chance to get close to the lead, and you never know. A multi-time champion in this league, and obviously somebody that is a threat when he gets close to the front.
I can't explain it, but Elliot Henderson gives me good at Pocono vibes. And I think on that, we're going to call the restart. Pace truck is in. Field in the hands of Matt Durr, who leads for the first time tonight. He's back on the gas, and we are back underway from Pocono. 15 laps to go, and watch out, things might get messy. We are already 3 wide, row 2 as they go to turn 1.
Yeah, Peterson laid back a little bit. Nice move. Go from the bottom now to the top.
Oh, trouble vector spinning in front of the field. This is going to be big. Jared Duda around as well. Hard to the outside wall goes Matt Durr. Spencer Owens collected. Caution is out.
And I got Tony Manji too. He's basically done.
You hate to see it. You really hate to see it. Turn 1. Do not mess with turn 1.
Yeah, it's been our spot
Hard to tell what happened, but we'll get a replay. Oh, no, it's actually not hard to tell what happened now that I've taken another look at it. Jared Duda just drove through the 44 truck.
And you got
So we'll get a replay here. Sorry, Ross.
You got drivers up there that, obviously Durr, he's been running up near the front, but not in the lead. And just looks like able to carry a little bit more momentum through the corner than the 44, whether that was misjudged or not.
Yeah. I hear some arguing on the radio right now. My headphones are currently turned into the broadcast booth, so I couldn't tell you exactly what they're saying, but I can hear it reverberating. They sound pretty mad. But yeah, no, it looks like Duda, I think he was just trying to get to the outside of Durr to get him down the back straightaway or Long Pond straightaway and into turn 2. Just misjudged the closing rate a little bit. I don't think he was high enough, and well, there goes the 44. You'll see Durr goes around, gets hits the 53 again, hooks it back up the track hard into Tony Manji. Spencer Owens nowhere to go. All things considered, that wreck was a lot smaller than it could have been. Really, only those 3 trucks took the most damage out of it, but definitely unfortunate for those 3 trucks, especially Tony Manji, who was really putting together a season-best run. I want to go on board with Jared Darling as well. I
was just going to say, man, that was impressive, him being able to almost kind of slide his truck away from those guys. Nice wreck avoidance here.
Oh, right down the inside. Well played.
And to know that like there's trucks to your inside there, so you can't go too far left, or you're going to be shot right back into the wreck.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice job by Darling, who an up and down night for sure. The roller coaster.
I'm going to be honest, I thought that wreck was going to be a lot bigger than it ended up being, so great heads-up driving by most of the field. Of note, by the way, Jared Duda has been given the race lead, so iRacing scoring at the time of the caution has determined that the 53 truck is your leader. Because of that, he actually will get to inherit the lead off that move. Tough break for a couple of drivers, though. Your top 3 will be Duda, Peterson, and Witt, with Henderson and Fisher rounding out your top 5. Aggressive Driver of the Race Award winner Hunter Madalinas will be restarting in 12th. We're getting an onboard here now with Elliot Henderson. Watch as he just smoothly dives onto the apron and drives through the wreck. Nice job avoiding that one, Mr. Henderson.
I was going to say, he was under Paul Witt there, and almost like Witt kind of came down on him, and it made Elliot have to kind of go to the apron, which then the wreck started, and that probably worked out.
Got another onboard here, this time Paul Witt.
You'll see him kind of get into Henderson right before the yellow, and that maybe checked up Elliott, that maybe it helped him navigate through there.
I actually want to give a shout out to Paul Witt because he has been putting together an incredible race tonight. I'm going to go ahead and check where he is in the standings, but I did not remember talking about him at all tonight. Yeah, he's 32nd in the standings with 1 top 5 on the entire season. It's not been a good year for Paul Witt, but through strategy and aggressive driving and just, honestly, probably speed that I didn't really expect out of him, but he's been putting together a great run. So, hey, fair play. Paul Witt has been putting together a season-high run tonight.
Yeah, for sure. It's it seems like we've mentioned him a lot, and he's not just near the front, but battling all the time. It seems like, I imagine he felt like coming out of turn 1 after that wreck there that the lead just fell into his lap, but that the sometimes the unique caution out scoring of iRacing, he's going to line up 3rd here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find his career stats in the Great Lakes Truck Series just to go ahead and give us. I should probably sort it by driver name, right? Just to kind of give an idea of how he's done overall in the series, but I really can't remember talking about him. So, hey, fair play to him. He's taken advantage of a situation here, and he's running up inside the top 5. In fact, this is actually his first Great Lakes Truck Series season. So, in only his 5th career start, he's running up inside the top 3. How about it?
Yeah, for sure. It's I was gonna say I missed the first 2 races of the season, and now has been running the past 4 weeks, and now race is 5th in a row now. So,
hey, you think Jake Fisher's ready to go? He looks a little anxious to go the way he's warming up his tires.
I think he wants to be on that outside, though. That's the only thing. And we'll see if he can get back up there.
These drivers are all anxious to go. The thing I've kind of noticed about Pocono, drivers that aren't particularly good at other tracks seem to shine here, and I think it's just because of how unique this track is. Of course, you still see your regular names towards the front, but a lot of other guys like Witt and Henderson. All right, green flag is back out. Jared Duda leads us back to green over teammate Christian Peterson, and the land rush towards turn 1 is on. Hunter Madalinas, he's going 3 wide through the middle towards the 10th position. He made a gap for himself, and he's going to shoot it through turn 1. So Madalina's already on the charge. Jackson Sims slow off the corner. Caution is out again. Jim Duda involved. That was underwhelming.
The backup truck we talked about earlier in the race didn't have a chance to put the decals on that thing, I guess, in pre-race. But yeah, unfortunately, a couple more claimed by turn 1.
Yeah, that was kind of just sloppy, to be completely honest. You'll see Duda was 3 wide with, who is that on the inside all the way? Well, I can't tell, but he hit the 13 of Lewis Woodall and kind of just got turned. Woodall was entering too high and Duda was entering too low and just got turned at the back of the field. It's unfortunate because that restart was shaping up to be quite exciting until that point. Well, caution's out again, and we don't have that many replays to look at this time, I don't think, so I guess we got to find something else to talk about. I can go on board here. Let's go on board with Terrell Baker. Get an alternative view. Entering on the high side, and nowhere to go. Into the wall. Tough.
Yeah, and you get to the point where when more and more trucks are claimed, there are less opportunities for things like that in the back to happen, but hopefully we can settle these last handful of laps up front, because yeah, I think we got a heck of a race. We can get a couple laps green for sure.
Well, we might as well start talking about playoffs, right? Just taking a look at some of the drivers putting together good runs tonight. Jared Duda, he was near the bubble, actually pretty close to the bubble coming into tonight, so a win or top 5 could definitely help him, give him a little bit of a cushion there. Christian Peterson as well actually came in on the outside looking in, so a good run like he's put together so far could definitely help him jump up into that top 10 playoff contention. Same goes for, well, I don't know if I should say Paul Witt, because he is pretty far back, but Paul Witt, I mean, he's put together a great run. Maybe he doesn't need to be for the playoffs, you know? Just celebrate a good run for what it is. And same goes for Elliot Henderson. So a lot of bubble drivers are having good nights so far.
And the procedure for this series also rewards the top 25 with guaranteed starts each week. So, you know, for a guy like Paul Witt, who's in the 30s in points position, to get into the top 25, as you get later in the season, you maybe don't have as many people attempting to qualify for these races, of course. But if you decide to come back for a future season, being in that top 25 takes a lot of pressure off when it comes to the first couple races of the season, not having to qualify.
Gavin Fitzgerald is also among the drivers who was sort of on the outside looking in terms of having a guaranteed starting spot. He is actually 26th in the points, just 2 points out of the guaranteed spot, and right now he is running up in the 8th position. So Fitzgerald, actually one of the drivers that has had a couple of good runs, but just hasn't seemed to be able to capitalize on them. Watkins Glen, I believe, was his best finish, having another good run, running up inside the top 10.
Yeah, I think the biggest winner tonight, potentially, if he's able to stay there, might be Elliot Henderson. Just a couple, you know, really 1 point out of the top 10 and running here in the top 5. A huge points night, especially with Nathan Jump is not in the race tonight. He's just ahead of Elliot, so there's a chance there to move up into that top 10.
Another driver not here tonight who was in the playoffs, but not super in the playoffs, is the, I forgot his number already. That's bad of me, but Will Barbagelata. He is not here tonight. He was coming into this race fourth in points. Had about if I can do math in my head real quick, 31, I think that's math, 31 point cushion. So definitely a pretty safe distance to the playoff bubble, but at the same time, you know, you can't give up too many points.
Yeah, so we'll it seems many times this year we've seen these teammates up near the front restarting 1-2, and we're gonna see it again here on this restart. I'm excited to see Manji Motorsports teammates of Jared Duda and Christian Peterson 1-2 here.
Just to quickly review the green-white checkered procedures in this league, since they do vary a little bit from league to league, we are going to follow normal NASCAR rules tonight, except with a hard cap on overtime attempts at 3. So unlike some leagues, there can be cautions on that third overtime attempt. There's no point of no return, which, if anything, might increase the urgency for these drivers a little bit, since they know that there's a chance that they're not going to be able to race all the way to the flag for this win. And really a mixed bag in the top 5. Jared Duda and Peterson have both been having pretty consistent seasons, racking up multiple wins, but Henderson has had a little bit of a quieter season. He's running up in 3rd. Paul Witt, he's really been... I mean, I feel a little bad. I feel like I'm hammering this point home too much, but I mean, Paul Witt, he's putting together a great run, and it could be a really good points day for him, because he's going to take home a ton of points compared to the drivers he's near. So the pace truck is in, or is just about to go in. Jared Duda and Christian Peterson, your teammates, line up on the front row. Back into the restart zone. We're back underway. And this time, unlike last time, Peterson does not get a worse restart than Duda. So he's, well, actually, he backed off a little bit. Now Duda's going to get in line. But, yeah, Peterson a little bit closer than he was before. Your top 2 single file. Double file starts around row 3. Here we go into turn number 1. Is everyone going to make it through cleanly this time by? Got 3 wide around the middle of the pack, and Elliott Henderson spins from 3rd. Caution is out. And that is heartbreak for Elliott Henderson, who was looking to help him point his way into the playoffs. He dropped it on the exit of turn 1, and the caution is back out.
Tough way to give up that top 5 spot. I don't think there was any help. I think it's just one of those self spins that we've seen. Maybe we'll see here for sure. Before
there was a little bit of help. I've just confirmed that, but it's, yeah, you'll see he just got a little tight on the bottom, just kind of missed the corner, and Peterson he gave him plenty of space, but was kind of just running a line that kind of came down into Elliott, and at that point he just got tagged again and spun around. So that is unfortunate for Elliott Henderson, who was putting together a really good race thus far, but found himself spun on the exit of turn 1, and I believe now we're getting closer and closer to overtime territory.
We talked about it, that run, that long run we had where people were taking the green flag pit stops when the fuel window opened. I know Elliott was a little earlier, so maybe there's a chance, maybe a couple more laps on his tires, and that's what's causing him to push up the track a little bit. But yeah, maybe he had a chance to save it, but with a restart like that, you got guys right behind you. It's pretty easy just to get turned and get finished off.
Yeah, definitely. So unfortunate for Elliott Henderson. Other than that, I believe the top 5 stays the same. Actually, Jackson Sims was able to jump Fisher out of all that. So now it goes Duda, Peterson, Witt, then Sims, then Jake Fisher. Yeah, not sure what to say now. So you talked about playoffs. Ross, what's your favorite corner at Pocono?
I truly love the tunnel turn. I will say that. I do enjoy a good stock car race and even an IndyCar race, of course, at Indianapolis. And I know the tunnel turn is built just like I don't know, one of the turns at Indianapolis. They're all very similar. I mean, some would say that they are all different if you really break it down. But
I was going to say, I think you just lost all of our Indiana viewers.
Four corners in Indianapolis. I love that the aspect of having, you have to be perfect in that tunnel turn. You have to be perfect in the corners at Indy. And if you don't, those long straightaways, both at Indy and here, you kind of lose your momentum if you don't hit it, and it stacks everybody up. Or if you nail it, you can jump to the guy, jump past the guy in front of you, or get a run on somebody. So it's I do like turn 2 of the tunnel turn here at Pocono.
I do agree with you. I think the tunnel turn is my favorite as well. You start up next to the wall, you gotta hook it down at just the right moment, nail that acceleration point just as you clip the yellow line, then gas it up, keep your momentum up. It's a really fun corner to get right, and pretty decent passing opportunity as well. Gotta say though, turn 1. I mean, after this race, it's kind of getting up there on my list of favorites. Might even take second place of the 3.
Yeah, and it's shown to be kind of one of our only turns where you can use a couple different lines depending on how you want to set up a driver. So though you maybe aren't gaining a ton of positions there, but you can set yourself up for this straightaway where the trucks are now before you get to the tunnel turn.
For sure, for sure. Turn 3, I feel like there's a little bit of multi-groove there as well. You can kind of run one lane up, trying to get to a guy's right rear quarter. Really, turn 2 is the only one where you're kind of glued to that bottom line, unless, well, thinking back to the Cup race, I think Denny Hamlin kind of tried to make a second line work, but I think that might be a Denny Hamlin thing. I haven't seen anyone else been able to do that since. I think I tried it in a league race, and I think I hit the wall, so...
Yeah, so maybe this is now we have this moment here. Maybe it's a new tradition when I'm in the booth here to. I love Great Lakes Racing, racing in it in the Truck Series here for many seasons. I love to mix in some strategy, so maybe a shout out to some of those strategies, even though they maybe didn't work. I know Ashton Lawson pitted early. Jared Darling was so close. We'll have to find out what happened on the pit road issue, but. Shout out to the leaders, the teammates with Duda and Peterson. You remember they all pitted together. I thought that was really smart, like you said, to draft together. That gave them the opportunity to keep their track position. And then when the caution came out, had to get through a couple of these trucks that over these last 2 restarts. But now here they're back leading and having a shot to win.
Yeah, and hey, if we want to talk about strategy, I think we need to talk about who I would imagine all those virtual fans are cheering for. Yes, that's right. It's the number 29, Paul Witt. He timed the cautions, I'm sure unintentionally, unless he has this thing rigged, but he timed the cautions perfectly to put himself up in third and has been able to keep pace with the leaders since. So I really hope he can come away with the top 5 because he deserves it after the race that he has ran so far. I love stories like this, drivers that are pretty far back in points just coming out here and having a really solid, really good race.
For sure. And yeah, I think I was just verifying here from the and Paul Witt's on Duda Motorsports, which is Jim Duda is his teammate. So at least probably some conversations with the guys over at Manji Motorsports because Jared Duda's over there. So kind of maybe a satellite team to these guys that are up front here. So gonna be fun to see these guys on this restart here. Looks like it's gonna be one of those kind of natural green-white checkers with 2 laps to go.
And we'll see if we can finish this under green. The race will be official if we get to the white, so no cautions past that point. Front row is, as it was last time, Jared Duda, Christian Peterson. So far, they've played nice with each other. We'll see if that changes. Out of turn 3, Pace Truck is going to make that left turn onto pit road. Here we go into the restart zone again, and Jared Duda is leading us back to green. He's cleared his teammate already and is off towards turn number 1. Here comes the cavalry. Is anyone going to fan out? We got one moving out in the back. That's Dylan Poteet. Everybody else looks to be staying in line as we go down into the corner.
That top lane from Peterson gives him a run. And if he can do anything, it looks like the 53 is kind of getting away.
Thank goodness we just made it off the corner. That's what I was looking for. 3 wide, row 3. Paul Witt's in the middle of that one. He got a shove, though, from Shane Neiswanger. Whoa, Jake Fisher behind! He nearly spun out the 29 of Witt, but they kept it off each other. Trouble in the back. Caressel got sideways out of the tunnel turn. They all kept it going, though, down into turn number 3. I think we might be able to make it back to the white, and it is all Jared Duda out front with his teammate Christian Peterson chasing. Will we make it out of turn number 3? Yes, we will. White flags in the air. This race is official, and Christian Peterson is trying to run down his teammate.
Yeah, no other driver really close. Jackson Sims in third, so he's gonna have to kind of do it by himself if he's gonna try to pass the 53. Not gonna have any momentum from behind to make something happen. We'll see what happens through the tunnel turn.
Down the long pond straightaway, Christian Peterson has 2 more opportunities to close the gap to his teammate. Madalinas throws a block for 5th behind into turn number 2. Peterson all the way on the yellow line, gets right up to the wall. He's using every inch of track he can. Trouble behind. Jackson Sims still trying to run them down from third into turn number 3. Peterson not going to get to the bumper. Duda beats him back to the gas, and that'll do it. Jared Duda out of turn number 3 is going to pick up his first win on the season. He wins at Pocono.
Door banging in the back, coming to the checkered flag, or at least, we got some post-race incidents too. Yeah, a lot of action back from really about fifth on back there. Some trucks sliding through the tunnel turn. It was kind of a wild finish for those guys, but yeah, Jim Duda is gonna celebrate here. Jared Duda, sorry, is gonna celebrate here in the 53 truck.
Everything really kicked off out of turn number 2 on the white flag. We'll take a look at it in a second, but let's go ahead and congratulate Jared Duda on his first win of the season. He's been close a couple of times and finally is able to get the job done. It's a 1-2 finish for those teammates, but Jared Duda able to come out on top. Peterson comes home in second. Sims, Paul Witt, and Hunter Madalinas rounds out your top 5. Jared Duda gonna burn it down here at the Tricky Triangle. And while he's still on track, we got Jared Duda up in the broadcast booth. Jared, it's your first win of the season. You were able to hold off your teammate. Walk us through your perspective of those last 2 laps.
Yeah, I was just being clean on the restart, getting out front. And as you guys probably know, it wasn't easy to pass at this place. So all I had to do was clear him out front and run away with it.
We saw throughout the race you and Christian Peterson working together a little bit. How much, I don't know if the right word is kindness or respect or maybe a little bit more room given. How much of that was there between you guys, or was it kind of all bets off?
Have you seen how dominant that 71 car is? I'm not trying to help him at all. He's fast as can be, so I'm going to take every inch I can get.
And Jared, last question for you. I mean, we saw it was really difficult to pass throughout the night, but you were able to make a couple of moves. You started in P6. You're able to move up to obviously the win at the end of the race. What were some of the keys to moving forward and not getting stuck?
A lot of it was, I think, pit strategy. The crew chief was calling a good strategy. We caught yellows at not the best time, but I think better than everyone else. And then I beat that 71 off pit road on the last green flag pit stop, which ultimately gave me the track position of the day and led to the win.
Yeah, definitely. Big congratulations to you. You ran a great race all night, and you come away with your first win on the season. Is there anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, I just want to thank the guys at Great Lake Racing Series. They put on a good show. For this one being honestly a little more yellows than normal, and we didn't really have too many. So we always put on a good show. They put on a good admin. And then you guys on the broadcast. You guys always put on a good broadcast. I like to watch it back, so I'll be really happy to go watch this one back.
Yeah, for sure. Jared, another big congratulations on your first win of the season. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
You gotta appreciate a driver who gives short and sweet answers. So Jared Duda, we just heard from him, your race winner, and now we're gonna go and bring up Christian Peterson, your second place finisher. Ross is standing by with him.
Christian, you come home second, following your teammate there. What could you maybe done to maybe try to get that 53 truck in the end?
Yeah, I needed to just get a better runoff too. I was trying to set it up for that. I really I backed up 1 to try to get a good run down the straightaway off of 1 in between 2 there, and then just didn't get the run I wanted, and I really wasn't close enough going into 2, and then just he got through 2 really good there on the last lap as well. I was gonna race him clean, and I really just wanted the 1-2, but I also wanted to go for the win, and we had a good gap there, so just didn't plan out like I wanted it to. But congrats to Jared, he ran a hell of a race there.
And when you're racing teammates like that, we saw moments throughout the race, even you guys all pitting together with your teammates, and then basically almost drafting to kind of get the track position back. How much of that is planned before race? How much of that is during the race? Or even are you just all kind of doing the same strategy by coincidence?
Yeah, we were kind of calling it in the middle of the race. I didn't expect there to be as many cautions as we got. I actually said to them before the race that I thought it was going to go green the whole way. So, having the cautions in there definitely threw a wrench in it and kind of mixed it up. And we were pretty lucky there with the first one to get good track position when we pitted a few laps early, and then get that 1, 2, 3, and then it kind of happened the same way the next pit stop. But a couple guys jumped us, so it just played out. I mean, yeah, it wasn't pre-planned. It was just kind of like, okay, well, this is what we're at. This is where we're at in the race, and I think we should do this, or Jared thinks we should do this, or Tony thought we should do that, and we went with it.
Well, congratulations on the 1-2 finish. Anyone you want to thank? Here's your chance to do that.
Yeah, just everybody at Manji Motorsports again. Tony, Jared, my buddy Anthony was spotting for us tonight. That was cool. You guys for putting on the broadcast. Jeff there for running a great league here at Great Lakes, and all the drivers for showing up.
Thank you, Christian, and we'll talk next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ross.
Well, that was your second place finisher, Christian Peterson, who rounded out your Manji Motorsports 1-2. And now standing by with us, Jackson Sims. I believe, Jackson, this is your first time talking to me up in the booth. So congratulations on your third place finish tonight. Just looking at that last restart there, you restarted in fourth. You kind of kept it close with the leads for a little bit and then fell off battling for third. Is there anything you could have done differently to maybe challenge those teammates for the win?
No, not really. It's so hard to pass, especially on the bottom. I got lucky with restarting on the top the last 2 restarts, but I was kind of discontent with taking my top 5 and ended up being third, which even better.
Yeah, definitely a good run for you there at the end. We saw throughout the race, drafting was really important, and just making sure that you could stay in line when you had to, but also being able to move out of line to make moves. How were you able to manage the draft to your advantage?
It was mainly just letting other people make mistakes. If you didn't, or if you tried to pass someone on the bottom and you didn't clear them, you just got freight trains. I just stayed passive all race, didn't do anything unnecessary except for a couple times, and then just let other people try to pass on the bottom and then take advantage of it. This freight train on by them with the draft on the straightaway.
We saw you run really well throughout the race, so you definitely have a good handle on Pocono as a racetrack. When people talk about it, though, they often compare it to a road course. Would you say that those comparisons are accurate at all, or how do you approach this place?
Yeah, especially turn 2. It's a quick corner, so you just kind of hit the apex and then kind of get off of it real quick instead of wrapping the bottom like you would a normal oval. So yeah, it's really like a super speedway road course in a kind of way.
All right, very cool. Well, Jackson, that's all the questions I have for you. Is there anything else you want to say or anyone else you want to give a shout out to for this third place finish?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast, everybody watching back home, my teammates Rod and Brent, and everybody who runs this league.
All right, well, thank you, Jackson, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for your top 3 interviews, and that's almost all we have for you on tonight's show. But before we sign off, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the full finishing results of tonight's race. Jared Duda comes away with his first win on the season after starting in P6, and Christian Peterson, his Manji Motorsports teammate, comes home in second, rounding out that top 2. Another 3/10 behind them was the 6 of Jackson Sims, and behind them, Paul Witt brings home his second, I think this is his second top 5 on the year if I read the stats correctly. But in addition to that, I believe this was his best run. I mean, he ran up towards the front as soon as he got that break with the strategy. So great run for Paul Witt to come home in 4th. Behind him, Hunter Madalinas recovers from a couple of setbacks to come home in 5th. And Jake Fisher, his first start on the season, results in a P6 finish. Jared Darling, after starting up front and leading 30 laps, unfortunately has to settle for 7th, but still a solid top 10 for him after a rough couple of weeks. Shane Neiswanger comes home in 8th, and Cody Miller, who we did not talk about all race, is able to come home in 9th, and Ashton Lawson comes home in 10th.
Yeah, and the second half of this top 20 here, Christopher Heller came home in 11th, Austin Moore in 12th, Fitzgerald in 13th, Brittle in 14th, Zach Henry 15th. I know he kind of got cycled through with some of that pit strategy middle of the race there with ill-timed cautions. Spencer Owens in 16th. Lewis Woodall had the spin on pit road, back to 17th through the chaos. Eric kept in 18th. Elliot Henderson, even though that late spin off of turn 1 in this race, was still able to get a top 20 and finish 19th. And Aiden DuPont rounds out the top 20.
And then looking ahead at 21st through 30th of the rest of your top 30, James Shiflett, comes home in 24th, followed by Nicholas Caressel in 22nd. Dylan Poteet, who had that incident earlier on in the race, comes home 23rd. And Jim Duda, who was involved in a late race caution, rebounds to 24th. Rod Fasnaugh, your lowest finishing driver that led any laps, comes home in 25th after a questionable but halfway understandable strategy call. Michael Senzi comes home in 26th, followed by Evan Snyder, Blair Niabani, Matt Durr. Unfortunately for Matt Durr, was only able to come home in 29th after he was actually leading late in the going before he got turned. And Terrell Baker, your season opening winner in the backup car, comes home in 30th after getting involved in some late race incidents.
Some of our final finishers here were involved in some incidents. Manji, one of the three drivers up front trying to get the 1-2-3, unfortunately was caught up in one of those last wrecks, finished 31st. Matthew Weeks 32nd. Sounded like maybe some of the text chat I saw that maybe there's a power issue towards maybe we missed, but unfortunately finished 23 laps down. Matthew Rodriguez, Brent Kingcott, Zach Levine, and Durr rounds out the top, I guess the 36th finish in. Michael Levine, there you go.
Michael Levine, because I think Zach Levine is a pop star. I think you might have been thinking of something.
Basketball player. Isn't he a basketball player?
Oh, duh, yeah. Doesn't he play on the Bulls? Wait.
I was like, I can't. Sorry to Levine there. I got his name wrong, but I'm thinking, basketball, I guess.
Well, I started thinking of Adam Levine. That's why I said pop star. But yeah, Zach Levine for the Chicago Bulls comes home in 35th.
Perfect.
All right. For me and Ross, I think that's gonna do it. We've gotten our Levines all mixed up. We'll try not to do that next week. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the Pocono Mountains 175. Congratulations again to Jared Duda on bringing home his first win on the season in a close finish with his teammate Christian Peterson, who continues his incredible run of form in second. Next week, the Great Lakes Truck Series heads to North Wilkesboro. But as for Pocono, that is all. Thank you all for tuning in tonight.